Okay, we are back with episode 51 of the podcast, and I'm practicing my spiel. Adventures in Adversity. If you have not listened to this podcast, it is a podcast where we feature real people. I got one right here. True stories and daily inspiration to help you turn life's adversity in whatever form into more of an adventure. And I don't know if you can understand the amount of excitement that is emanating from my soul with this guest that I have right now. Hi, Hannah.
Hey, Bri.
Okay, guys. So I literally just got full body chills, and you will see why. So, Hannah, thank you so much for joining my little podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. It's a long time coming.
It is a long time coming. And for those of you, I'm going to put all her info in the show notes because there are a lot of you are going to want to contact her, especially if you live in Michigan, if you need a therapist. Hannah, we met. Let's take the audience through our story because there's going to be serious stories, laughs, then there's going to be all sorts of joy today. But I want to introduce Hannah as not only talented, amazing, empathetic, hilarious, fantastic therapist, but also as my number one hype girl.
Listen, you're easy to hype.
See? So Hannah, I'm going to stop talking because everybody knows that that's what I do a lot of. And I would like you to tell us, how did we meet?
Yes.
And
so
how did we get here?
Bri and I met in a mastermind with Tiffany Rowe. We're going to shout her out as our biz coach and mentor and friend.
Yes.
She taught us so much, and we were just little baby dreamers when we first met, just hoping and praying for our opportunity to come to build. You know, you wanted to build your podcast. I wanted to build and launch my private practice. And since that time, when did we begin? It was April of 2024.
So it was 15 months ago?
Yeah. Since that time, I have launched my own business that started back just a few months ago in March of 2025. And you obviously have been rocking and rolling on your podcast, meeting all sorts of inspirational folks and spreading the love. So it's pretty amazing.
I remember the day, I'm literally getting chills again. I remember in one of our masterminds, because it was the intention of the mastermind was like women coming together, building entrepreneurial kind of this. She has two masterminds. This was more like foundational, like how do we do this versus like, hey, I have a business. How do I up level it? And we're like, so
Right.
what do we even do to get one of those businesses? Can we have one?
Yeah, exactly.
So we met. And then I remember you talking about like, we were both just like dreaming of the thing.
Yep.
And talking about, because you were working as a therapist, but you wanted to start your own private practice.
Right.
And you did it.
And I did it.
And
you did your thing.
And we did it. We did the thing that we said we wanted to do that like we had all this fear about.
Yes. And that's the main thing that I think was so unexpected through Tiffany's mastermind was how much mindset work was involved and the hurdles that we had within us just to even start the ball rolling. So it was a really powerful experience and definitely, you know, knit our hearts together as well as our other cohort members. And so grateful to now have like a team of people who are just hyping both of us up and help keep going.
It's so wild because when I joined that mastermind, I remember there were a few therapists, right? Like it was a mix. And I was like, this is the nicest group of people I've ever met. Like I'm surrounded by therapists. I was like, how did I get in here? Because I was like, I'm your best test subject if you need like someone who's really messed. No, I'm kidding. But I remember just being like, this is so it's about way more than the business part.
Right.
I was like, it's getting over the mental hurdle of thinking that you could have the audacity to do something that you want to do.
Exactly. It was amazing.
So yes, I'm going to put a link to, because we're going to do reels and all this. So I'm going to put a link to Tiffany's page, her, like where you can learn more about joining those cohorts. And you joined another one, right? You
I
did another
did.
one.
I just re-upped immediately because I was like,
Just
okay, this first 6 months, it was so much of the mental and emotional work that
yes.
I wanted more time to implement. And I knew that I needed the support of a group of people who were going through the same struggle, because the folks in our lives, as much as they love us and want to see us succeed, it's a lot different getting encouragement from someone who's in the trench with you, who's also experiencing those same ups and downs of starting and launching a business or a project, an idea, right?
Yeah.
And I knew I needed that peer support. And I'm so thankful that I continued, because really it was that second round of Mastermind that allowed me to launch, and now I'm running my own business. So it's pretty amazing.
I remember congratulations.
Thank you.
Because it is not only I just remember those meetings and then you being like, yeah, and then I remember you posting you're setting up your office, and I'm like, there's your little couch, you have the cat. Like, I'm like, literally was just an idea,
Yeah,
and then saying it out loud, and then, okay, how are we gonna break this down? And then as you go through it, okay, I'm scared, and then you get scared, and then something happens, and then you're like, you go back to the group and you're like, okay, how do I get through this part?
right. It's like, hey, I did the thing. I jumped off that cliff, and now there's this like other cliff I landed on that I now have to jump off of.
Like, so there's more cliffs, apparently.
There's
While
more.
you run a business, there's more.
There's
But the
more.
biggest one, you already jumped off the biggest
Yes.
one.
Yes. And then it's like it feels kind of like the long float. We won't call it a fall because that's scary, right? But it's like the long float of, okay, at this point I'm supposed to like pull this strap in order to get ready to pull that one, and eventually I'm gonna have the parachute. But it's like all these little steps that you don't necessarily think about. And it feels pretty good to have other people around you, with the goggles on, their face shaking, like we're right here too.
You actually can't even predict once you jump off what you're going to encounter.
Right.
So I'm so glad we kicked off with that, because that whole theme of what, like, anyone listening, it was all about finding a group of support to help you navigate building a business, which has its own set of adversity.
Right.
And what is so cool is that you are now let me get your title right. You are a licensed therapist. Like, what is that? Because I know there's,
I'm a
go ahead.
licensed professional counselor, so LPC in the state.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Amazing. And so you offer on one in office therapy. Do you do remote as well?
I do remote as well. And
Yeah.
the thing that I'm really excited about is I offer intensives. So sometimes the weekly 60-minute model isn't sufficient for the progress that gals want to make. And I work exclusively with women. That's where
Yeah.
my heart lies.
Yeah.
And so I offer like extended therapy packages where folks can spend up to 4 hours with me in a single setting. And sometimes that can
Mm.
take place over a few days. So almost like a retreat style where, we'll meet a couple hours in the morning, break for lunch, kind of
Oh,
regroup, meet again in the afternoon. And then, they have their hotel or Airbnb where they stay and back the
oh
next
my
day.
gosh.
So for major life events or maybe long standing extenuating circumstances or trauma, right? That model can be really helpful, right? To be able to do, a month, 2 months worth of therapeutic work in one sitting. Now,
Mm.
obviously, there are certain folks who are better candidates for work like that. We want to make sure that they're supported before going into an environment like that. So there's definitely
Yeah.
some screening process to make sure that, everybody stays safe and grounded. But it's something that I really considered a great privilege to be able to do and help gals get a springboard to their progress, their healing, their processing.
Amazing. I didn't even know you do that since it's all been developing.
Yes.
All, what your offerings have been, that is so needed, because I have so many questions. I don't even know. Like, because
Yeah.
you're like my friend, my peer, a therapist, and everybody knows I like love therapists. If anyone's like, I'm a therapist,
Tell me more.
I'm like, do you want to hang out? Because I love talking about everything
Yeah.
therapy. No. So if someone's listening right now
Hmm.
and they're in Michigan,
Yeah.
you offer one-on-one, like you would always start by coming in and being like, hey, what's going on? And then you would help them guide like what kind of treatment or sessions or cadence might be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, and I think intensives can be a really great like springboard, as I said, or kind of this mega supplement. Like if somebody has a weekly therapist that
Yeah.
they really enjoy, but they're kind of wanting this additional, more robust experience that then they can take back to their weekly
Mm,
therapist. That is something that is possible. Before an intensive, I always do kind of that like primer session. So an hour to an hour and a half session just
yeah.
to like lay the groundwork, give some of the homework in order to prepare for that experience.
Mm.
So folks can travel from outside of Michigan in order to have an experience like that.
Oh, amazing.
Or it can be, you know, just an add on for the gals who see me regularly.
So cool that you're expanding who you can help.
Yes, I'm very
This
thankful.
is, you guys, Hannah. I mean, if you're not following Hannah, I'm putting all the links to all your things because you are such a gifted therapist. I'm telling you, like,
You.
I have not gone to therapy with you, but basically, I talk to you about everything in my life, and you're like, you've seen it all. Uh, through, you're like, oh, she's having a rough day. No, I'm kidding. I just think it's amazing because the gift that you give by providing that space, whether it's in your office, over a screen, over an intensive for somebody who drives in, flies in, then they go back with those tools. And then literally that what you did like ripples into whoever they interact with.
That's the hope. Yeah.
I can't describe how cool it is to see like the whole journey and just like being on the journey with you. And then I remember Hannah, and again, I'm jumping all over. Everyone's like, "What are you talking about now?" It's fine. We're gonna. It's all about adversity therapy, but it's all gonna stitch together. Um, I remember when we first started posting,
Yes.
we were like scared to post, and now we're like,
Yeah, I feel like you were always the one who was like, all right, somebody's got to go first. I'm going first. And we were all like, okay, yeah, we're coming with you. You know, so you were that one who just ripped the Band-Aid and helped the rest of us be just okay with the discomfort of something new. And
right.
I feel like that's so important for all of us to practice, but especially those of us in helping professions to stay
Yeah.
connected to our humanity in order to empathize with the people who are across from us, who we're trying to serve. Because
Mm,
I think it's really easy when we're not practicing the same things that we're asking our clients to practice to become sort of that armchair expert instead of just a fellow sojourner trying
yeah.
to become more ourselves and become more healthy and whole, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a practice I've really valued, and especially in this process of putting myself out there on social media for the first time and launching a business, all of these things that have felt scarier than I thought they would. It's been a really humbling thing in a very positive way to stay
Mm,
connected to my clients who are also doing scary, hard things for the first time and dealing with some of those fears. So
mm,
it's been a really great experience.
mm. Now, I want to take a little rewind
Yeah.
to the life of Hannah, and we're gonna bring back. So, how when did you know? As I love that you use the word like a fellow sojourner, sojourner.
Yes.
I can see like little. Was it little Hannah like writing in her journal, being like, "One day I want to help people." Or was it like a later in life realization?
Yeah.
How did you get to be the amazing therapist that you are?
Well, thank you.
I can say that.
I know. I'm just being like, oh
You-
my goodness.
You're like,
I just came here
drink it in.
to like get this like nectar of kindness. That's what
Yes.
I'm here for.
Hey, as a therapist would say, just receive it.
Yes.
Receive it.
Well, it's kind of, I feel like always been my posture towards other people. And I think we all have our God given gifts, these
Yeah.
natural giftings and inclinations that we were born with. And for me, being able to see and hold space for other people has always been a part of who I am and my story. And at times to my detriment when I'm younger and just so concerned about all of my precious little friends who are going through their like playground dramas. I was just tore up about it.
Bleeding heart, right?
Yes,
You're like,
always.
no.
That has always been the role I have played in my friendships. And my parents, they used to joke, they would call me Dear Abby because I was the one who I was, when I got a cell phone in high school, parents were like, you really need to turn that off at night. And I was like, but what if someone needs me? Right. And bless her heart, you can see a little window into baby Hannah.
There she is.
So definitely a lot of growth since that time. But yeah, when I did a job shadow in like 4th or 5th grade, I went to the school counselor in the middle school and I job shadowed her. And so everyone else saw it. And I kind of was just like, I just know I love people, you know. Then it became apparent pretty quickly after my bachelor's degree that if I was going to have as much impact and be able to help as much as I wanted to, I needed that additional education and training.
Yeah.
So.
It's cool to see someone follow the yearnings of like the inner child.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's easily gets like lost. You have to find her.
Right.
And then, that's why therapy is great, reconnecting with your inner child, right? Okay, so you go to college. We're going Life of Hannah.
Yes.
So you go and tell me about, I know there's some serious sports along the way.
Yeah. So I was big into soccer growing up, and that was my outlet, my social circles, my competitive drive, which was
Yep.
pretty intense. I'm very nowadays it's just like board games. If you want to schedule board game night, like we're going.
But then you're in
I
the
am
zone
all the
now.
way in.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
played 9 square in the air with a bunch of teenagers over the week. And
And you were
they
like,
were like, "Wow, Mrs. Sinkovitz."
they're like, are you trash talking? You're
I'm
like,
like,
a little bit.
absolutely. I sure am. And
You're like, this is a safe space.
safe space where you can be crushed. So anyways, finding the positive outlets for that nowadays. But
Yes.
yeah, I played soccer all the way through college. And so that really was like my driving guide for a long time was, okay, this is my focus and everything else.
What position?
I was center back, defense, all grit.
Oh, of course. You were defending the weak. You were the last line and you're like, I got this.
Yep.
That's so badass.
Yeah, it was
I didn't
fun.
even know that till recently.
Yeah. Yeah. Those were some good years.
Mm.
I'm not going to be one of those gals who plays in the adult leagues though, because like I had way too many surgeries post college to deal with injuries and stuff. Like I'm not tearing an ACL in my mid.
Yeah. Oh no, I know. I hear you. I played in a little adult league and watched that happen to other people.
Yeah.
I was goalie though, so it was fine. Okay. So you're running up and down the soccer field. You're, when you're not running in soccer, you're learning and so at that point, you're like, okay, this could be a thing for me where I help people for like a career.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I met my husband in undergrad. So I did the whole like get married right out of college thing.
Yeah.
Lord bless our young folks who had no idea what we were doing. But that's okay. It's all worked out.
Yes.
So I actually started substitute teaching in the high schools and quickly realized that a lot of the students felt comfortable kind of opening up to me immediately. And I think it was the anonymity, right? The like, I'm not going to see you every single day. So they would just kind of drop these really heavy things. And I felt so burdened. And like, I hate that I can't be more supportive or have an ongoing relationship or really help with some of the things going on. And I was like, okay, if I want to be able to do that, I have to go back to school. So I did, and I was able to get a grad assistantship, and that paid for my first year of school.
Amazing.
Grateful for that. And then we got pregnant with our first child kind of unexpectedly. And I was like, in the middle of grad school. Okay, not the plan, but we're going to roll with it. And so, super thankful for community who helped us. And especially both of our moms were really helpful taking care of that little guy while I was doing my practicum and internships. And so I finished grad school with an 18-month-old on my hip and had submitted some final papers while I was actually in labor.
Oh my gosh.
Held together by a shoestring, but we made it work.
You were momming before you even had the baby. That's like mom life.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, but as soon as I got into the grad program and started digging into the work, I knew that it was exactly the path that I needed to be on.
And for anyone listening, if they're like in a place where they're considering helping people as a profession, would you say that that was like a feeling where you were like, this feels right? Or like, not that you didn't have any fear or doubt, but like where you were like, do you have to kind of have that?
It felt aligned, and I didn't have to be anyone else in order to do work. And that's where it felt like, okay, where you find the sweet spot. And it was like, I can be the fullness of who I am in this role and have an outlet that feels fulfilling and it's mutually beneficial. Like all relationships, when they're healthy, they're reciprocal. So as much as I give to my clients, I also benefit from those relationships. Like there's so much that I've learned from my clients.
I'm sure you probably have some life altering sessions.
Absolutely.
Where you're like, I mean, I can't imagine.
I mean, there's definitely, it's like this deep, sacred, holy work. And also there's light parts of it too. And I genuinely enjoy the women who I get to work with. And some days I leave, I'm like, how in the world is this my job? Like how this feels like such a privilege, and it feels so fun some days. And it's definitely not always that. It's difficult. But even from practical things, like last week, a client gave me an idea based on what she shared about her organization in her home. I'm like, this is about to change my morning routine with my kids. Like, this is amazing. So fringe benefits of being connected to really amazing people,
Well, it's almost like when you are in your therapist couch, which is so cute, and I loved it. I saw the whole evolution of like, you got the office, we have a couch, we got the pillow. And then I remember that day when you posted, I was like, holy shit, it's there, it's ready. Like there. And what must be so, well, as a therapist, correct me if I'm wrong, as a counselor, you are literally kind of next to them. If you're buckling up on a roller coaster, the adventures and adversity of their life, you're like, you step in, you're like, let's go. I'm just going to guide you through.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a lot of cool metaphors for the work that we get to do.
Yeah.
And I think one of them that I really appreciate is that of like an emotional midwife, where it's like they're doing the work. I can't go through that labor for them. I can hold space for the fear or the anxiety, or I can let them know, hey, this is probably what's coming next. How might you want to manage that? And then they're the one who is going through that. And I'm just a steady presence with them.
There you go. You're shepherding them, but like that analogy, because I just imagined giving birth to my two children and I was like, I have to have the baby, but you can give me the coaching on what's coming next, how you might breathe through it. Yeah. I mean, I have so much respect, and I'll never stop saying it. I have a whole section on the podcast just about therapy and how it will literally save, change, enhance your life. You will come out of that office a better version of yourself if you do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know that from both sides. Like I've gone through it as a client myself.
Yeah.
I, again, think that's so important so that we know what that experience is like when we're the ones who are trying to engage in that well with other people who are looking for that growth, healing,
Yes.
understanding. But yeah, it definitely, we heal in the context of relationship, and
When you're relating, you're healing.
in the context of secure, healthy relationship. And the therapeutic relationship should be that microcosm of what's happening outside in order to kind of work through without fear of consequence or reactivity, to be able to like see ourselves in that mirror and okay, so that's the undercurrent that's been carrying this thing that's been going on for years. Okay, now that I'm aware of that, do I want to continue that pattern or do I want to shift that? How do I even do that? And that's where, you know, a solid therapist is going to be able to speak in, offer suggestions, ask great questions in order for a client to come to their own conclusion of, okay, yeah, I'm ready to make this change. So much of therapy is just like sitting on the edge of that cliff that we both have been on and just like, hey, yeah, I see it. Yeah, that's scary. Yep, that's why you've been walking away from this edge for a really long time. Okay, I'll be here when you're ready. We can sit here as long as you need. We can talk this over and over and over again. And when you're ready, we'll go.
That's it. Podcast over. I've never thought about, I just got a visual of, wow, it's, that person, your client still has all the agency and all the control.
Yep.
You're literally sitting and you're like, look, my legs are hanging too, and we're not going to fall.
Yep.
And we can stay here as long as you need.
Right.
There's no shaming of like, why aren't you ready to jump?
Right.
That leads me to, so you create this sacred space, whether it's hanging off the cliff, and the name of your practice, hopefully I get it right.
Yes.
Sacred Story Counseling.
Yes.
Another moment when you launched that, I was like, oh, of course. I was like, that's perfect.
Yes. Yes. It just feels true, you know? And for every single one of my clients. And that has to be the orientation of a therapist, is that every single unique human is sacred and matters, and their story is important. And that's only been proven true time and time again. Like, I have never walked away from knowing someone, even after they transfer out or after they fall off the caseload for whatever reason.
Sure.
Every human is sacred. It's just true.
And like you said, we all have a story.
Yes.
And it's like, we have a story from the past. We have a story that's like unfolding. And then we meet people on the street, at work, anywhere, when we're with our kids, parents, friends, whatever. And we have no idea. None.
Right.
The intricate, sacred story that like brought them to that moment.
Absolutely.
Oof. That's a great name.
Thank you.
I love it. And one of my favorite reels that you posted, I'm just going to we're going to have to do a flashback of like my favorite reels of yours, and I'll just post. Was like when you sit down. So speaking of sacred story counseling, when you come in and you're like getting ready for your client,
Yes.
and then you come in and you're like, so what's going on?
Yep.
And then all the different ways that you greet a client, and then, did you do it?
Yeah.
So how'd it go? Or like another one where you're like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly, as someone who's had therapy, that's the therapist you want. You're literally like, so you're like there on the cliff going, okay, so remember what we talked about?
Yeah.
Our cliffs, are we still hanging? Or are we jumping today? Nope, not jumping. Okay, no fun, no problem.
Yep.
Like, you bring in, okay, here's a question.
Yeah.
How does one, whether you're a therapist listening or anyone who wants to be better, more present in their relationships, how do you, as a therapist, or what's a couple things people can, how do you know if you're creating a safe space for somebody when they're talking to you?
I think a good indicator is whether or not you are centering yourself or maintaining curiosity about them.
Mm. Mm. So the space is dependent upon like what you're bringing,
Yeah.
your energy,
Like your
and how
posture towards them.
posture. Yeah.
Because I think I don't know if this is just like an issue common to man all over the world, if this is cultural or
But we will find out.
or just me. I don't know. But like everybody wants to feel important. So frequently we're listening to respond and not listening to hear or listening to learn. And people can tell. People can tell when someone is really curious and genuine, wanting to know, okay, how are you really? What's going on there? Or if it's this desire to be in the know. We've all maybe some of those people in our social circles where it's like they're really intentional to ask questions, but I don't know if it's like safe to share with them because it seems like it's like the juicy gossip.
What's the tea? Yeah, like
What's
what's
going
going
on
on?
with the things that are really deep and core and vulnerable? That's not the person you want to share those things with, who's using it for their own gain socially, just to have something to talk about. Or the person who just wants to offer their solution without, having that rapport and relationship where you would invite that, but someone who just wants to be like, oh, you just have to do X, Y, and Z and you'll be
Yeah.
good, but to be seen and heard just as you are, someone to just be with you and not try to fix you, that powerful medicine.
The listening. And that's such a especially me too. Like I am hyper and I'm always like, okay, and then I'm really working on that, being like, take it in.
Mm-hmm.
And like when someone or a friend, like, if a friend's like, oh, I didn't get that job, or like, oh, the interview like fell through. Cause a lot of people are looking for jobs and stuff. Not to be like, don't worry, it'll be fine. But being
Right.
like, really sorry. I know you really wanted that. That sucks. I'm so sorry.
Right.
And like, just let it suck for a second.
Yep.
And then be like, maybe a couple minutes later, so can I get you a latte?
Right.
It still sucks though. I'm not saying it doesn't suck.
Exactly. There's a time and a place for everything. Being with someone in the suck and just being like, yeah, this is horrible. This is grief. This is not going away. And I wish it was for you. Someone is at the door.
The voice of God.
Leaving.
God is like, hallelujah.
Right? But like being with somebody in their grief matters. And there's also a place for practical problem solving, especially like in the therapeutic sense. Like,
oh yeah,
in our everyday life, I think, it's good to ask, like, hey, I have a few ideas. Are you open to hearing them?
it's like, yeah.
Actually, no, like today just sucks. And I kind of just want to like lament about that. I want to grovel for a little while. It's like, cool, let's do it. Like, what ice cream are we picking up? What show are we putting on? Like, or you want to get your mind off it? Okay, where's the next silent disco? Like, let's roll out. We're going to dance and just like shake it off,
Process,
Exactly.
right? Because you actually have to, what I've learned, apparently, word on the street is a feeling will keep coming back until you kind of process it.
Yeah.
But like from a therapist perspective, there's this lady that has this feel, deal, heal approach.
Yeah, she does. And she's going to love this.
Oh yeah. Feel, deal, heal.
Feel,
like,
deal, heal.
Feel, deal, heal over here too. I'll Photoshop them in.
There we go. Our girl Tito out.
Feel, deal, heal.
Feel, deal,
screenshot. Feel, deal, heal.
Let's go.
It's like, it's so there's a difference. Like sometimes when before therapy and like waking up to the reality of life and how emotions work, I would almost feel bad for feeling bad.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, maybe I got rejected from something, and then I'm crying, and then I'm like, then the voice comes in going, get your shit, like, are you really crying about this?
Get
like,
over yourself.
You're an adult. Yeah. And then the shame mixed with the actual thing.
Right.
And then, so instead of, now I'm learning like, oh, this really sucks. And then I'm like, okay, let's just like lean into it, put on some music and like go for a walk. Right. Or like, cause I actually am like, okay, I think I need to like be upset right now.
Right. Learning to accept your emotions is a huge process, especially I feel like probably for someone like you, who's like the go-getter, the hype woman, the like up for anything gal and get her done. So easy to just put on the face and keep trucking.
Yes, especially like I'll literally now being, and I'm sure you feel this as a therapist, like if I have a bad moment or like a mood that's just off, and then I'm like, you host a podcast about adversity. Get it, like, come on, like you're a fraud,
Yeah,
you know, like,
imposter syndrome. Like you're helping people.
oh yeah, or like, oh, who are you? I always go like, who are you, Mel Robbins? Like, what are you doing now? Like, I used to tell my therapist that I'd be talking to her and she'd be like, how's the podcast looks great. And I'd be like, yeah, like, you know, Mel Robbins wannabe over here. And she's like, and I'm like, oh, it's just fun. You know, I'm like, wow, that I'm like literally dissing myself.
Right. You're undercutting
in like a joke.
Yeah. Because how cringe would it be if people knew you actually cared? Or like that we're the audacity, like you mentioned, the audacity to think that we have something to offer people or that our connection with people could make a difference, you know?
That my thought was like before when we were sitting on the ledge in the mastermind, I'm like, there's already enough podcasts.
Yep.
Why am I doing this? I used to say like, oh, I'm such a I'm like a I used to actually say, oh, well, I'm like a wannabe podcaster. I would literally,
I remember
for
you
6
saying
months,
that.
and I'm like, only recently
Mm-hmm.
in the last few months did I stop saying that. That was a year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was afraid that if I'm a real podcaster and it doesn't pan out, then I failed, or like I'm a joke, or but I don't know. I've broken free from that. And I'm like, no, I'm a podcaster.
Yes.
Like you almost have to be like, I am a real boy.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I am.
and that is like the ongoing work. So even in a therapeutic experience, such as the mastermind, it's not
Yes.
just in therapy that we can come to have these knowledge or skills. It's one streamlined way to do that, direct.
Yeah.
But coaching, that's part of it. We get the tools, but then we have to utilize those tools over and over and over again. No, my mindset's slipping. That lie that was planted long ago, you know, I have to reconfront it and to name it, acknowledge it, and then move into, no, what is the truth? And even if it feels funky, like, what do I want to be true? And what I want to be true is that I am a podcaster. I am a business owner and also like a grown ass lady, because that imposter syndrome can leave us feeling so tiny and young and small. Like all of these other folks have it figured out. And we are still like growing up. And you know what? We all are. Every one of us.
You know, we are. And it was funny. I told my boss 2 weeks ago on a one-on-one, and he's amazing. And I'm like, look, I got to be honest, Jason. I'm like, I was like, because I was asking for feedback, and I was like, there's a voice in my head that's like, come on, Bri, like you're being authentic. Be authentic.
Right.
Like this is your one-on-one. This is what it's for.
Right.
And I'm like, to be honest, Jason, I've had a little bit of imposter syndrome with this. And he like and he was just like, oh yeah, I mean, and then immediately almost was like, well, yeah, of course. Like that's really hard. Like, I mean, nobody understands that part. And I'm like, oh. Yeah, I'm really glad. He's also amazing, but I'm like, you said it to your boss that you have imposter syndrome. I would have, I'm like, that's not, you're not going to like get fired. And you're not like, he's not going to doubt you because you expressed doubt that you have doubt.
Right. You don't have to be perfect.
Like naming it. That's naming it. All you have to do in life is feel your emotions, I think. And then everything else gets better if you feel it.
Yeah. I mean, that's step one.
And then for the heavy, heavy stuff though.
Yeah.
I can't express enough how much therapy, especially if like for trauma, you need it, right? What do you think? Have you, again, I'm getting so fired up by all these conversations. I'm all over the place. As a therapist, when someone comes in and they've got some really heavy stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to take time to unravel that. Wouldn't you say walking into the office for the first time is such a monumental step?
Oh yeah. I mean, just like anything, getting there is the hardest part. And that a lot of the times for folks who maybe have not had safety elsewhere in their life to explore these things or to name these things, It's that process every single week of, okay, I am getting in my car and I'm driving to the office, or I'm sitting down at my computer, and yes, I'm going to willingly put myself in a vulnerable position. And just like getting there is half the battle.
Yes.
And so I have so much respect for the folks who are choosing to do that, because I understand why people don't.
Because when you feel it can, you feel some heavy stuff.
Right.
Because stuff comes up from childhood, from any period, but also when you find the right therapist and you have that release, you're like not the same.
Right.
In the best way.
Yeah. To be able to integrate all parts of yourself and to not live separated from things that are driving your behavior, right? Because whether or not you're conscious of it, it's there. And I think that's the interesting part, because the deep work, it matters, and we have to take the time and hold the space for it. And then there's this secondary gear that at some point needs to become simultaneous, of, okay, managing your emotions, naming them, tapping into them, feeling them, and working behaviorally to shift choices and that includes things like boundary setting and communication, in order to actually create a life that is different and doesn't support the patterns that were painful to you or hurtful to you. And that, I mean, that's a hard shift to make, because it's one thing to become aware, to be conscious.
Yep.
It's another to choose differently and to choose to implement new patterns.
And that's when the real like rewiring happens, the neuroplasticity, right? So I love how you laid that out. It's makes sense to me. You feel it, and like you're shaking out the rug. And the great part is that you have somebody next to you, because I did some guided visualizations and literally like trauma flashbacks, and where I had to, and I did tapping with her while I was doing it. And I remember she was like, even though the secret's out, I still love and accept myself completely. Or even though, and I'd be like, even though, and I'm like, as I'm saying it, I'm like, I don't accept myself right now, but I will. But I'm gonna keep doing it, or like, I had to confront the thing, feel the thing, and then almost like she's like, okay, so practically when we're in this situation, what tool do you have from all the things, or which I have like a toolbox now where I'm like, okay, use that one. I gotta, like.
Yeah. So it's like you have your emergency, like ripcord for those situations where it's like, I don't have time to sit and like tap all this out right now. And like, I need to like function through this event or this moment. And then later when I get home,
you can have an ugly cry.
I can ugly cry. I can tap in, I can name it, I can shift, that's where like walking, I love, because so much of our response is this like innate physical reaction. It's our nervous system, how it was trained in our youth to respond to threats, emotional, physical, and otherwise. And so our first line of defense should often involve some physical element in order to turn the alarm off, to say,
turn the alarm off.
Thank you, body, for warning me that you think this is danger. I'm not in danger. I'm sad. And I don't have to be afraid of my sadness.
That's powerful. The alarm, everyone can relate. The alarm goes off, a situation, you feel hijacked from like a stimulus in a board meeting or at school or whatever, or at home or in Starbucks. And you literally, for people who haven't done the nervous system research, because it's so fascinating, your body thinks like a saber-toothed tiger is coming.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen those reels. I think they're so funny, of like, my body doesn't know the difference between trying to get my school on time and being chased by a bear.
Yes. So I'm going to lay down now because I think I'm being hunted, but actually I'm just running late.
Exactly. And those things are set in place really early. That's part of it too. It's like learning to give yourself grace. Like, this is here. Also, it doesn't have to stay this way, but it's going to take daily intentionality in order to start a new pattern and to feel different. about myself and to be able to more quickly navigate situations like that. Because it doesn't mean, like, just because you're aware or you have new tools, it doesn't mean that the alarm is not going to go off in those moments anymore. Hopefully it doesn't sound as loud, or maybe it becomes less
Yes.
frequent. But the primary thing is like expanding your tolerance for those moments in order to be able to keep your brain online to say, okay, I'm going to turn this alarm off now by using my tools, by grounding, by, deep breathing, by tapping, going for a walk, or whatever
Yep.
the case may be. There's so many coping skills out there and lots of good ones, but whatever your first line of defense is. And then from there, you can actually navigate those situations. So it's about expanding the window of tolerance and then being able to implement something different so you can move out of that distress more quickly.
That it makes perfect sense to me. And it would make sense that it would be very helpful to have a trained person, a trained therapist who has studied and who is also a human,
Right.
who has studied how this all works I mean, that's where the magic is. I feel like, where you're like, you took a whole class on like one little piece of
Yeah.
that. And then also you're a human who's been through that. And then also you're still like this whole nervous system thing blew my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, what are you literally the Mastermind? That was the beginning of it. And then I went Healing Her Stories, my therapist that I used to go to. I remember I'm like, why is she like so focused on my nervous system? Like, I remember being like, what is this? I remember literally thinking in my head, like, yeah. Anyway, like,
Right.
yeah,
Back to
we're
my
nervous.
narrative.
Like, and then being like, yeah, I'm like, can we just talk about it?
Right.
Like, we're talking about it. Isn't that going to,
Mm-hmm.
if you talk about it enough, it'll fix? Like, oh, it's fascinating to me that
Yes.
you can that you can also reset it and you don't have to stay where it was,
Right.
or you can calm it.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the misconceptions about therapy. I'm just going to go and I'm going to talk and it's not going to change anything. Well, actually,
Yeah,
talking does in and of itself change some things. It could, doesn't change what happened.
right.
And the right therapist for you is going to be able to connect with you, to guide, and to help your perspective, your orientation, your posture toward those events or beliefs.
Mm.
It's going to help you shift that. So you're not changing the thing, you're changing how you engage with the thing.
I can't do this anymore. There's too many good. There's me 100 reels. Changing your posture towards the thing. I love that you said that. You're like, listen, I can't change the thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Yes.
shitty, and I'm sorry, and we can talk about it.
Yes.
But then I'm going to change how, like, maybe over the course, if someone sees you for 6
Mm-hmm.
months, maybe when they walk in that first day, and then the 6 months, they're like, the thing is still
Yeah.
there, and it's still ugly. But I mean, that is exactly what happens with a good therapist.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then tell me about how amazing it must feel to see I know you've posted about it when someone comes in and they're like, I did the thing, or like, I did it and it was horrible, but I still did it, or I did it and it
Yeah.
worked. Are you just like,
Oh my gosh, it's amazing because like we all need that person who is going to believe in us even when we don't believe in ourselves, or like hold on to hope when we have none. And sometimes that's
yeah,
all it can be. I'm here and I don't believe you, but I want to. Like that matters. So then
mm,
to see someone move maybe from that position of feeling so downtrodden or hopeless to reclaiming their life, to being willing to honor themselves and protect themselves and doing really hard things in order to get there. I mean, it's the greatest privilege of my life. And it truly, it is not my work that does that. It is the client's willingness and the client's work,
yeah,
because so much of it takes place outside of the
it's the
therapy session,
mm,
right? It's their willingness
yeah,
to be like, okay, I'm going to trust that in this process and I'm going to do it even though it feels like the craziest thing I could ever do. And
Ah,
then all of a sudden things feel different for them. So to see that and to feel that is, I mean, it's beyond words.
I'm sure it's quite overwhelming at times where you just have like moments where you just like cry happy tears because you're just like, wow, like, and you just see that like people are so resilient,
Yes.
like, holy, some tough stuff.
Yeah. The resilience of the human spirit goes beyond my imagination. It's not something I can fully comprehend. Um,
No,
but to be able to witness it firsthand is incredible. And my clients know that I
they're
phrases,
like,
I'm getting misty over here. Like I'm getting misty. Yeah.
I love, see, yeah, and you know what? Again, I'm not a therapist. I just play one on TV. No, I'm not a therapist. I just pretend to be one with a podcast. No, I pretend to be a lot of things. No, I'm kidding. All right, edit. No, I pretend to be a podcaster. No,
No,
I'm kidding. I don't. I
you
am
are a
one.
podcaster.
I am one. I lost my train of thought because I distracted
What
myself
happened?
there. No, when you were saying like the moments where the resilience,
Mm-hmm.
right? I feel like there's just once you see how resilient someone can be and like have a one-on-one interaction with them, it almost awakens something in yourself, I'm
Yeah.
sure, where you're like, wait, I'm a human too. I can, and I've seen their journey. And then maybe in your personal life, when you're, living a
Mm-hmm.
human, I'm sure your clients flash across. I mean, your training,
Yeah.
your tools, but then also,
Yeah. And I think that's, I mean, I'm a relational therapist. There are so many different kinds of therapists out there, and there's a place for
okay,
each one of
yes,
us. But relational therapy, I mean, it prioritizes the therapeutic relationship. And so even though it is a professional relationship, it's a real one. And I think that's so
yeah,
core to the way that I operate in my work. It's like, yeah, my care for them is genuine and it is boundaried, but my
of
care is
course.
real. And so, like any relationship, of course, there's gonna be. I see a meme and it's like, oh my gosh, so and so, that would be perfect. I don't send. I tell them
Immediately.
about it in session, but I don't send it.
Yeah, you're like, I want
I
to.
want to, but I don't. But other times where, like, I know that a client is going through something heavy or is about to take a big step, and so of course they're on my mind in between session, and I think that that's a positive thing. It's a really unique
Yeah.
role to be so intimately involved in someone's life and to not have contact outside of that really unique space and to
Yeah.
not share that with other people. I
You're
feel like
like
I'm
you're like, I know everything and
CIA
it's fine.
sometimes where I'm like, honey, I'm off to work, and then I'm like flying to Brazil or something. It's like, and no one will
It's
ever know about it. But it's so cool to be able to do that, and so it's definitely an interesting position to be in at times.
well, and I can imagine I'm visualizing your office, sacred story counseling, and like all literally it's like contains these sacred stories.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm getting chills. So they come in and their story is sacred.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the work you're doing, if all your little, okay, I'm doing like a visual. If all your clients, you're sitting in your between sessions, having your, you getting ready for the next one, doing your
Yeah.
breathing. And each one of your clients with your on the couch, it's all cozy and amazing. All their stories like floating in
Mm-hmm.
there in a safe space. And then every time they come in, it shifts. It's not that the pain doesn't go away, but then like it morphs into them starting to heal
Yeah.
and like taking a different posture, looking at it
Right.
differently. Your space contains a lot of stories,
Absolutely.
but like how amazing.
Yeah.
Like you're literally, I hope you know the impact. Therapists are like my ride or dies. They're like, it's like a first responder type feeling for
Yeah.
me towards like this is you're the first responders like
Mm-hmm.
emotionally.
Yeah. It's
I mean, it's
it
amazing.
is amazing, and it also, there is a weight to it. There can be
I
a
was gonna
toll to
say,
it. My older
tell
brother
me
is
about
a
that.
firefighter, and so one day we were talking just about some of the challenges of the work that we do, and he was like, "I didn't realize that, like, there's a crisis element to your job. I was like, yeah, there is. And then I go home and make dinner, right? Like in the same way,
Yeah.
runs into a burning building and then goes home and plays with his kids. It's like, we're that first responder in a different way. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, so I don't know that.
Do you that I'm really glad you brought
Mhm.
that up. As a therapist, and whatever you're comfortable
Yeah.
sharing, it's very important that therapists and if any first responders are listening, I had Parker was on an episode. He was an
Mhm.
EMT. He really had to process
Yeah.
some stuff, and he said that he would contain it at the moment because there's like anger of situations he would walk
Right.
into, and then he would find after he would be like, "I'm so
Yeah.
mad," or like, but then I'm like, "How did you?" He's like, "In the moment, you kind of just," but then you get home and you're like, "That is not right,"
Yep.
or like, "How do you how as somebody in that type of profession?"
Mhm.
You have to nurture yourself and make sure you have support.
Absolutely. And I intermittently go to my own therapy, and that's part of why. Just have
Amazing.
my own container to be able
Of
to,
course.
the things that I hear or see other clients go through, that is just hard to witness, but also some of the things that then touch on my own story and my own grief, being able to have my own container to be like, okay, yeah, this was activated this week because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
But movement is so huge for me, being able to just walk. I have a dog, and so my
same.
she is like just my little support animal. Like, love her. I have two cats as well. So, get
Nice.
my animal love, make sure that I'm spending time with my friends, but also just taking the time to take care of my mind and my body, to move. And that's frequently what I do after work. I'll go walk
You gotta move.
and kind of get it out, because yeah, there's a lot of hard things that happen to folks in life, and to know that sometimes we won't see justice on this side of the veil, that can be really hard to hold.
Oh, yeah. Very, very. And, I think one thing I'm learning too, again, just from a podcasting perspective, is you have to treat everybody with, I mean, and I knew it before, but like treat everybody with immense care because you don't know what they're bringing to the table or what they just heard or what they are helping someone go
Right.
through or what they're going through,
Yeah.
because some of it's just too heavy to talk about outside of a therapist's office,
Right. Right.
or they're not ready. If some people are ready and be like, here's my
Right.
story, and some people are like, I could never do that, but thank you for sharing, and I just can't do it, but I will
Yeah.
take. So whoever can, I don't know. I'm just picturing you. I was actually picturing you because I know you've posted reels of you like going for a walk with the dog. And I'm like, so glad that you prioritize that because that energy goes back and
Yes.
forth and you have to process it
Exactly.
physically.
Exactly. And to be able to show up for the people in my personal life, to be able
Yeah.
to like be
Your
fun, silly
kids.
mom. And that can be challenging at times, when, especially the unexpected. Like if I have a really heavy day where, multiple of
You
my
didn't.
clients come in with a new type of heaviness or crisis, and it's like, whoa, okay. So yeah, just finding ways to make sure that I'm able to transition well into home life.
Yeah. And it's, you're never done.
Right.
You're never done. You're never going to, I think I'm learning. It's the constant
Mhm.
self-nurturing and feeling of the emotions. It's just gonna be continuous and you're bobbing along, and then sometimes there's like a
Right.
drop, and then sometimes you watch someone else drop and you're like, "Okay, I got you," and then sometimes you're like, "Oh, it's me this
Right.
time." Shit, like, and then sometimes I feel like you're you surprise yourself about how well you handle something that, and then sometimes you're like, "Oh, normally I'm fine. Why am I bawling
Right.
about this?"
And then if you take the time
Right?
and you're like, oh, it's because of X, Y, and Z, or like for whatever reason, like my grief box is open today, and that just has to be
Ah,
okay. And I'm going to go
yes.
let myself lose it in the shower for a little bit. If that's the only place that I have, then making
Yeah.
the time to actually let it out, and then, okay, let's move through it.
Hannah, I I just looked at the time too, and we hit our hour. Like here's the thing. I have many ideas. Obviously you're coming back.
Of course.
This is an introduction to sacred story counseling, and what hopefully could be a consistent voice sometimes when she wants to come on and talk about things related to adversity, whether it's yourself or we can focus on specific topics and you can give some tools.
I would love.
And I mean, there's so many things, I'm going to be your stalker for the next week. So you already know that it's going to go up. It's going to go up to like a creepy level. It's going to be like, wow. I want to thank you from the bottom of my bleeding heart because you are a peer, a friend. I consider you like a mentor because you're a therapist, counselor. So you're automatically like, oh. So I just wanted to thank you. I know you have a lot of clients, you have kids, you have a husband, you have friends, you have a business.
Yes.
And you carved out time for me.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate, and all the listeners, that's the most important thing. Everyone that's hearing this is going to get a nugget that could potentially change their posture towards something.
Yeah. I mean, that's our hope, is that our story could connect, even if it's with one other person who needs some encouragement or even the nudge to like, hey, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to give yourself that space, because everyone deserves it. One deserves an unbiased space to process their story.
And that's what you provide. And that's why you're amazing. And that's why I will be your eternal hype girl for life.
It's mutual. I am your hype girl as well. And yeah, thank you for welcoming me on the podcast. I love what you're doing, and your energy is so contagious. And I'm just thankful that our paths have crossed and that we get to continue to encourage one another and hopefully continue the impact.
Oh, yes. Thank you. And I'm going to put all your Instagram, your website, if you are a resident in Michigan, in-person therapy, online therapy, if you'd like to come to Michigan for an intensive, all the info will be in the show notes. I highly encourage you to follow Hannah because your content is so real and relatable, where I feel so seen when I'm like, that was me in the morning at the fridge. One morning, I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you in my house right now? And then it makes you feel normal. So thank you for like showing that side of yourself, especially as a therapist. Like it's just so good.
Thank you, my friend. And I'm definitely not a superhero, superhuman. Like, being a therapist is good work. It's sacred work. And it's only possible when we have people supporting us. So thank you for being a person who does that for me and for the other people, and especially other therapists in your life. You're someone who's super intentional to like speak encouragement and life over others. And we all need that.
Yeah. Hey, that's why we met.
Absolutely.
Well, we are going to wrap up episode 51. Woo! And please look at the show notes because this is my girl, Hannah, and this will be the first of many.
Absolutely.
I know.
Can't wait to come back.
All right, sister. I'll talk to you soon.
Good. Bye.
Bye-bye.